Hello everybody and welcome to the final lecture of Judge Peggy Hora's 17th Thinker in Residence. It is fantastic to see you here, all 900 of you who booked in for this event tonight. Particularly exciting for us at Adelaide Thinkers because we had an event last week, the Thinkers Return series, with 3 of our thinkers, and we had 1,200 people booked into that. So to experience this kind of support from you South Australians is truly marvellous. This residency is entitled Smart Justice, a 21st century approach to justice and public safety. I'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting on Kaurna land, and I honour the elders and ancestors of the Kaurna people, and particularly pay my respects to any First Australians here this evening. Welcome Minister Jennifer Rankin, and welcome other ministers or members of the legislature, members of the opposition, local councillors from Adelaide and Greater Adelaide. A special welcome to Professor Ilona Kickbush, one of our thinkers in residence who's here with us this evening. A particular welcome too to members of South Australia's justice system, justices of the Supreme Court, judges and magistrates of the Family Court, judges of the District Court and magistrates. And a very warm welcome to members of the legal profession in all their many roles in the justice system, to members of the South Australian Police and to other participants in our justice system. And finally, to you, the large South Australian audience whose presence here tonight we really value and appreciate. This lecture is the crescendo of the residency in which Judge Peggy Hora will synthesise her observations and her work and present to us a number of recommendations. Many of you may know that the Adelaide Thinkers in Residence is a radical South Australian social innovation, the very first of its kind in the world. It has 3 main pillars. The first is a thinker, a world leader and exemplar in their field who comes to live and work in Adelaide, not just to drop in and out, but really to inhabit our lives and get to know who we are. The second pillar of the program is the urgency of the issue facing the residency. What big challenges are we facing in regard to water or climate change or health, or in this case, the justice system? The third pillar of the program is the group of partner investors from the public and private sector who lead major recommendations and conclusions into action. In every case, using these 3 pillars, this program sets out to generate new thinking, to provoke change, to ignite action and to achieve lasting, tangible results for South Australia. It sets out particularly to ensure that South Australia thrives by promoting positive change in the systems of organisation across our society, which work as a kind of scaffold for orderly, progressive and safe lives here in South Australia. This residency has been focused on the justice system. Now we know by what we see in the world around us that after a serious natural disaster or a revolution or a failed state, that safety for citizens is the first thing to go. The police and justice system fail in chaos. People loot, kill, streets are unsafe, and the normal consequences for bad behaviour cannot be enacted because everything is in chaos. The social agreement to obey the law and the rule of law breaks down quickly in these circumstances. It turns out that a successful justice system is a fragile and a precious thing. A good justice system like the one we have in South Australia is indeed one of the treasures of civilisation. It is the product of a society becoming more civilised, and it builds and maintains that civilised society. It is both the result of and the guarantee of human progress. So how appropriate that we should use this great instrument that we have in South Australia in the Thinkers program to generate intelligent and positive change in this valuable and valued justice system of ours. Every residency is different, but it always involves massive interface with South Australians who are connected to the issue at hand. During Judge Hora's 12-week, but seems longer, doesn't it, Peggy? 12-week stay since August 2009, she's had over 75 meetings, both one-on-one meetings and meetings with groups of people and government agencies, non-government organisations, university and community groups. She's given 20 keynote speaker presentations. She's visited 6 specialist courts and she's been to 2 prisons. She's visited justice departments in Canberra, Tasmania and Victoria. She's had 20 media connections in print and radio. I'd particularly like to thank the advertiser who gave great support for this public conversation during this residency. Personally, she's connected with well over 500 South Australians. It's been intense. She has met and engaged with other thinkers in residence too, Professor Kickbush, Professor Laura Lee, Roseanne Haggerty and Andrew Fearn, and she's spoken to many South Australian ministers and a number of chief executives. She's had extensive and repeated contacts with the judiciary and other members of the legal community. Many of you are here tonight, and thank you for coming. Now, our partners who invested in this complex residency have guided us at every turn, and we greatly appreciate their leadership. I'd like to say thank you tonight to the Courts Administration Authority, the Attorney General's Department, South Australian Police, the Department of Education and Children's Services, the Social Inclusion Unit, the Law School of the University of Adelaide and Flinders Law School, the Commissioner for Victims' Rights, the Department of Correctional Services, the City of Playford and the Legal Services Commission. I'd like to particularly mention Sue King from Courts Administration and Nicole Hunter from the Attorney General's Department, who's worked feverishly as catalysts with our very hard-working Senior Project Officer, Pamela James Martin, to support the intellectual and strategic journey of Judge Hora and her residency. But you know, in the end, we rely on the energy and vision of our partners and collaborators to energise and lead the recommendations into action. And over the life of the Thinkers program, we have seen some amazing South Australian individuals and organisations really step up to this task. Make no mistake, this program is entirely focused on achieving real outcomes for South Australia, and our record in previous residencies, which you will hear about a little later from Minister Rankin, is impressive. The skills of change, ladies and gentlemen, are the skills that count now in this fast-changing world. A successful society is clever at adapting to changing circumstances and adept at working collaboratively to get smart answers to hard problems. Our Thinkers program chases this goal, a smarter, adaptive state looking to the future, and the recommendations you will hear tonight reflect this goal. This presentation this evening is co-presented by University of South Australia's Bob Hawke Ministerial Centre, which is a leading force for vibrant public debate in South Australia. We thank them for their partnership in many of our events, and particularly Director Liz Ho and Louise Carnell. We've deliberately returned to our beautiful Adelaide Town Hall for this event, and we hope that you will all help us build these final residency lectures into a packed to the rafters Adelaide event every single time. Please be sure to leave us your details and consider building our events into your family and social life. Coming to see what our Thinkers have to offer us and talking about it together afterwards over dinner seems like a great plan to me. South Australians thinking with our Thinkers. We will close tonight at 7:30. If Peggy's remarks are concluded by 7:15, we'll have time for a couple of questions. If not, we'll definitely be wrapped up by 7:30. Regrettably, the Premier is unable to be here with us this evening, has been held up in the health reform negotiations. He sends his good wishes to us all and will be meeting with Judge Hora again next week. I'd now like to welcome the Minister for Families and Communities, Housing, Ageing, Disability, Minister Jennifer Rankin, to speak to us and to introduce Judge Peggy Fulton Hora.